Hey guys, this is MC here for Web3 Talks, and today I'm here with a good old friend. He's a podcaster. He's also an educator, teacher, and a really amazing guy. So before we dive into Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain, you name it, please introduce yourself, sir.
Absolutely. Firstly, thank you so much, Marcus, for having me.
Yeah,
My name is George, and I've been involved in Bitcoin space since 2013. And I've seen gradual changes in the Bitcoin space, blockchain space, NFT, Web 3.0, and also the DeFi space as well. And essentially everything is just about people to have control over the data. So what I've seen, so what I do is I tend to look at information at the first source, and I do have a podcast as well called as the Blockchain DXB podcast, where I look at news on a daily basis. And I have roughly around 12 to 16,000 listeners on a daily basis. And apart from that, I also am actively involved into fitness.
That's
true. I have a second podcast called as the Race Based Podcast, which talks about obstacle course race such as Spartan race, Tough Mudder. So yeah, actively involved in quite a lot of things, but yeah.
Quite a lot. Oh yeah, wait. Let's not forget to not just Bitcoin, not just the Ironman races and all that stuff. But hey, you also have affinity to music, right? So...
Absolutely, yeah. And actually I do play for an extreme heavy metal band. And I was speaking to the guys, arranging the equipment. I mean, the guys are from Philippines, the other band members. So yeah, if given a choice, there's a lot of similarity, let's say, between Bitcoin and extreme heavy metal. But the preference always would be heavy metal, followed by Bitcoin, and then the sporting activities and other things. But,
yeah. That's really cool. But what I love about you is that you have kind of like this level of understanding what's happening in the Bitcoin space. You also have an analytical point of view in terms of the news coverage, but also music as well too. So that's a kind of quite a beautiful thing for me. But the reason I brought you here, let's talk about Blockchain DXB.
Absolutely.
So Blockchain DXB is not just a podcast. You also I say that as also like kind of like a training ground, teaching people like from beginner to advanced.
Correct.
So what is actually the inspiration behind Blockchain DXB?
I think the inspiration came with my experience. I mean, I tried to understand what Bitcoin is, and I struggled at the initial stages. And to be honest, Bitcoin isn't something which an average person would understand. So I realized that people in the general mass, they are still not aware of what Bitcoin is. So that actually gave me the inspiration to go ahead and start a consulting firm. And what I tend to do is, I tend to explain Bitcoin at 3 different levels. So at the beginner level, something which an average person will understand, an advanced level, and also at the technical level. And I always use this analogy. If a 5-year-old can understand, and if a 70-year-old grandmother can understand, then you've actually understood what Bitcoin is. And the same concept is, let's say for blockchain technology, be it, let's say, DeFi, even metaverse, which there's a lot of hype regarding metaverse. And from 1st of August, I'm also getting into the artificial intelligence space. So I'm a newbie in that. So what I'm going to be doing is, starting it from the ground up, looking at it at a completely beginner level. And, some of the podcasters have given the inspiration. Like one of the podcasters, actually, he did not know anything about Bitcoin. And because of that, he started this podcast. And I do feel that podcasting, definitely helps you in learning quite a lot of things, getting updated with quite a lot of information. So yeah. And going back to regarding fitness, I think in the Web 3.0 space, what I've noticed is a lot of them get so involved in this, we don't take time for work-life balance. Now, one of the reasons why I do the running is so that I can focus on my daily news on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So Saturdays, Sundays, I don't look at the price of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies at all.
Oh, come on. What kind of a Bitcoin are you, man?
No, it directly starts on Monday. The reason being that Monday I'm fully charged up. I don't want to get drained out. And that is one trend which I've particularly observed with people, in the Bitcoin and blockchain space and the so-called Web 3.0 space as well.
Fascinating. No, that's fascinating. Because, I've been in this space for some time, and I think you're right. I think it is hard to, it's hard to take care of yourself because sometimes you're so caught up with, price goes up, price goes down. Then there's always some new development taking place. Like say, for example, I've been like diving deep into zero knowledge proof. You know me. I'm a kind of like a privacy kind of guy. So there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of interesting people you got to deal with. I'm glad you brought that up. I think definitely in our Web3 space, we need to like learn how to have a yin and yang kind of approach. But just to get into, when you started learning about Bitcoin, what was your personal reaction to it? Were you like, oh, this is going to change the world? Or were you like...
Not at all. This happened back in 2013, and I was with a friend of mine, and we were actually going to a mall. And back in Manchester, there is an electronic shop called as Curry's Digital. And in that magazine, we saw a thing about Bitcoin. And the friend who I was with, he was into mathematics, and he knew about what Bitcoin is. And this is going back to 2013. So he dwelled into Bit. And that time, I'm not sure if you know that there was a messaging app called as Paltalk. Somewhat similar to Yahoo Messenger. So that used to have a lot of hacking groups. So I was, let's just go into one of these groups. And there they kept talking about hashing algorithm. And to be honest, I had zero idea of what is it that they are talking about. And in 2013, I believe it was around February, that was when I went for a first meetup event. And I dressed up in a suit and boot, and I was expecting, let's say 50 to 60 odd people. But there were only 6 of us who turned up. And it was an absolutely casual event. And what I've seen right now is now when you have an event in Bitcoin, you have like 50 or 60 people. You have some of the top executives from the banking industry, some of the people from the legal industry. So that change has definitely been there. But at the same time, I've also noticed that the gap in education, let's say in Bitcoin or blockchain or even zero knowledge proof, the gap unfortunately has increased. Because what is happening is a lot of newcomers. They're in for making quick money, which is fine, but as long as you truly understand what the protocol or project is. Like in today's episode that I released, and please check it out guys on Blockchain DXB. There is a protocol from South Korea which is moving into Abu Dhabi. Now they claim to be a DeFi protocol, but they're going for registration and they're going for license. And they want to be the first registered with ADGM license. So I'm not sure how that thing works considering the fact it decentralized finance. So
I know. Because it's funny because when I think of DeFi, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, because DeFi to me, you're not registered at all.
Absolutely
I guess
correct.
From a legal sense, it's all like on chain, right? So
that's exactly the point. So now essentially what this company is saying is that we are a centralized entity. We are going to go ahead and apply for this license, but we are going to be DeFi, which just does not seem right. But it's going to be really interesting to see how that particular project actually works.
Wow. Okay. So now, because let's take a few steps back, because you've been in the space like long enough. You've seen the bulls and bears. You've seen all these different trends. Definitely, as an analyst, you see a lot of narratives, right? So I have to ask you this tough question. Like, what do you think about all these narratives? I mean, like, it has changed quite a lot. I mean, you just said right, like a company that's supposed to be DeFi, they're registering. So like, I mean, break it down for me. I mean,
the narrative has changed drastically. In 2013, when I got involved, it was internet money, or people often used to call it as scam money. Then later on, it was blockchain, not Bitcoin. And that narrative continued from 2013 to 2015. So people were saying that, we want to know about blockchain, but we don't like Bitcoin. And that's even what banking employees were told. Then in 2016, that was the time there was this drama between Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Co. Followed by the ICO era and the narrative of ICO, that focused a lot on transaction per second. There were protocols that, they used to promise that RTPS is 1 million transactions per second. And, based on that, they used to raise a lot of funds. But if we truly understand, read through all the white papers, it is a centralized project. After the whole ICO era, that was DeFi. And now, guys, I'm looking at DeFi, and trust me, the volume is ridiculously scary. So back into 2020-21, on an average day, the DeFi volume used to hover somewhere between the $16 to $18 billion mark. Now in 2023, unfortunately, the number is less than $2 billion. And I'm not sure the listeners are aware about the total value locked. It used to be $240 billion. Now it's down to $40 billion. And this has nothing to do with, Terra Luna, nothing to do with, FTX exchange. It has been going down before that as well. So there was this DeFi era, then there was the NFT hype. People overnight became experts in NFT in LinkedIn.
Oh yeah.
They are like, I'm a specialist in NFTs. The NFT hype has died down.
Yeah.
And that because of Mark Zuckerberg changing the name from Facebook to Meta.
All right. Yeah.
You know, everything was about Meta, and I do have a series every Fridays that are released, called as Metaverse Everything. And the funniest thing is, I was deciding what name should I keep, and then I was looking. Everyone is talking about Metaverse, so I thought, why not just keep it Metaverse Everything?
Right.
So that's the whole idea of keeping that name. But I do think Metaverse is definitely going to be there. The ideal time period you're looking at is, let's say, 8 to 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Until, and I'm really not sure, to be honest, Marcus, if blockchain technology now would actually be a perfect fit for Metaverse. Now, a lot of people in the cryptocurrency and blockchain community would not like that, but unfortunately, a centralized protocol will offer a much better experience in the Metaverse.
I get that. I'm glad you said that because at least here, you're in a safe space. But if you're outside,
absolutely,
I'm sure they'll be like, blasphemy, how dare you? I mean, there's going to be like a wanted picture of you, man. Man, it's tough out there, man.
Yeah, because I've released a couple of series in collaboration with the Metaverse Standards Forum. And I did try to pitch them this idea that, blockchain technology, at least for now, does not merge with Metaverse. And they were like, no, we don't want to talk about that. Let's focus on just the adoption. And right now, the next buzzword is artificial intelligence. And again, if you truly understand what blockchain is, there are very limited use cases so far as artificial intelligence is concerned.
Right.
And Satya Nadella, he actually said that blockchain technology does require a ChatGPT moment. So, we do require something massive in order for the user adoption to take place. One thing again, which I mentioned in today's episode is, if you look at Threads, they have 100 million users in 24 hours.
Yeah.
If you look at the number of users actually using DeFi protocols, trust me, guys, it's absolutely scary.
Yeah.
So go to dapradar.com, and we actually discussed this as well.
Sure,
look at the number of people using decentralized apps or even Metaverse. And that user adoption will only happen as and when people are educated in the technology, trying to understand, what Bitcoin is, what is Ethereum, what is DeFi, what is, the actual use case of decentralized finance and stable coins. Guys, listen, stable coins is actually accounting for over 95% of the cryptocurrency market volume.
That's true.
And just 2 days ago, Tether USDT and Circle, they actually froze $65 million. So we're using stable coins, and if they have the ability to actually go ahead and stop transactions, does it actually follow the ethos of blockchain protocol?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So I guess, I'm just thinking about it because you just went through all these different trends, these different shifting narratives.
Yeah.
So I guess, could it be correct to say that, we're still kind of like, the pendulum is sort of like swinging left, right, trying to stay in the middle, trying to be, I guess, within that sweet spot. I mean, I know it's a tough one to answer, but what are your thoughts?
I totally agree, and what I've realized, and this is based from my experience, the moment you try to look at Ethereum or let's say Solana, and then you always fall back on Bitcoin.
Okay.
At the back of my mind, you're like, what, Bitcoin does this thing, and it does it a bit better. And one thing which I often tell my clients as well, because I do consultation, whenever you're adopting a new technology or protocol, let's say DeFi, is it offering a 10x better user experience than what you're currently offering? So right now, if I were to ask you, let's say a written physical mail, in comparison to, let's say, an email, is the experience 10 times better? And I'm pretty much sure the answer is yes. So now when you're talking about, let's say, decentralized finance or Web 3.0 protocols, is it offering a 10x better user experience than what the current banking industry is offering? I really am not sure. But if you look at Bitcoin, if you were to look and compare it, let's say, with the fiat standard or with the fiat monetary system, is it offering a 10x better user experience? I would say 100% yes. Because you can have instant settlement. But I'm pretty much sure that some of the so-called crypto enthusiasts are actually working and offering a 10x better user experience. As long as the project is distributed or decentralized, I think that'll be a game changer. And then we might see a lot of user adoption.
Right, I agree. Yeah, I can agree with that. I think it's the user experience, the user interface, I guess in some areas would make sense. So I think that's where we had this, I'm sure, these discussions with indexes,
Exactly,
or
yeah.
CFI or DeFi, but in terms of you brought up the Web3.
Yeah.
One of the popular questions I always ask my guests is, what does Web3 means to you?
For me, what it means, and I've said this 1,000 times, rather than using your email address, if I were to use my private key and let's say an Ethereum login ID, that is Web 3.2. So it could be possible that Facebook, rather than let's say using your email address or let's say using your mobile phone, if you were to use let's say your Ethereum login ID, that would be Web 3.2, because that becomes censorship resistant. There is absolutely no way, no government, no technology company that will actually break the private key. So that is Web 3.2. Other than that, let's say having ownership to my own data, let's say if I have an NFT, like we discussed earlier today as well. So having access and royalty access to my own NFT, that is what Web 3.0 means to me. Now let's say if you're getting into the whole metasphere or metaverse, then it becomes a different ball game altogether. The conversation that we have, let's say if you have a podcast in the metaverse, can we do it on Web 3.0 protocol as opposed to let's say a centralized protocol by let's say Meta or something? And that's going to be really interesting to think about. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. I know we covered Web3, we covered metaverse, all that stuff. But I gotta ask you. You know me. I'm a fiend when it comes to privacy, right?
Absolutely.
So, so that I guess the audience knows that too. But I'm just kind of curious about what's your thoughts on privacy? I guess in terms of financial privacy and compliance, because they both go hand in hand. So, what's your take on this, or your analysis in this
My
area?
thoughts are, my data is my data, no one else's data. And I think we absolutely like the idea of zero knowledge proof, as long as that is implemented. But that still has challenges.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty much sure it will be solved, let's say, in the next 3 to 5 years down the line.
Gotcha.
But so far as privacy is concerned, it is absolutely critical that I have access to my own data. And I'm not talking about the browser history. I'm talking about, let's say, even let's say finance. I'm pretty much sure I'm the only one who wants to know or do have access to where I'm spending. And there goes this threat about central bank digital currencies.
Yeah.
Because there's this basic definition between central bank digital currencies and cryptocurrencies. Once CBDCs are launched, which it will, you don't have access to your financial data. It is the central bank that will have access to 100% of the data. So what, I do have an event coming up on central bank digital currencies.
Oh, interesting.
Which is on the 27th of this month.
All right.
So where you actually break down the basic difference between CBDC and let's say Bitcoin, or CBDCs or any other cryptocurrencies. And we also talk about Monero, which I think we're absolutely passionate about.
Yeah.
So I think privacy is absolutely critical. And the statement that I have to say is, it's my data and just my data, no one else's data.
Oh, that's good. That's so good. I'm sure we could, cover all aspects from the beginners to the advanced level, and also the technical stuff. So, we want to, encourage our audience to, learn more about Web3 and how much they can benefit. So I think with Blockchain DXB, I've seen you provide some really great content and analysis. So hey, if they want to learn more, where can they find you?
Go to blockchaindxb.com, and you can always drop me an email at info@blockchaindxb.com. And if you guys want to find out more about Web 3.0, Dr. Gavin Wood, he's the guy who actually termed the terminology called Web 3.0.
And Gavin Wood, he's
the co-founder of Ethereum, but currently he's the founder of Polkadot.
There you go.
And the terminology, guys, is going back to 2014, Web 3.0. So, make sure you watch his videos going back to 2014. Now, mind you, he does have quite a lot of cuss words, but the content is absolutely beautiful. And Polkadot is also a good project so far as Web 3.0 is concerned. So,
that's awesome. Hey, man, John, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. But before we just get out, do you have any words of wisdom for new people entering the space? There's one thing you believe they should keep in mind or keep it in heart.
I think I would say look at information from first source. Just because you're looking at information, don't take it for granted. Be it, let's say, cryptocurrency, blockchain, or politics as well. Try to identify what the first source is, and you'd be surprised. 90% of the information actually is incorrect. And if you want to find out everything about Bitcoin or blockchain, Blockchain DXB is always welcome. You can always ask any questions. And Crypto with Coffee also has brilliant, weekly meetups as well. So yeah, focus
Awesome,
on the
guys.
education. Focus on the education and not the price, because all price prediction guys are 100% right 50% of the time. So yeah.
No, that's beautifully said. No, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So hey, there you have it, folks. We gotta go. So y'all be good. Y'all be safe. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you very much.